Welcome to Poppers and Popcorn, the podcast that does butt stuff to movies.
Okay, so we're sticking with that.
Nailed it.
We nailed it. We're good.
Nailed it. How was your Christmas, Josh?
Christmas was good. Yeah, no, Christmas was good. It was really chill. Like, I was there at 2, out by 8.
Oh, wow.
Like, same day.
That's quick.
Train up, train back. Like...
like you go home to the Bronx.
We were up in Westchester.
Oh, okay.
So basically what happened was we had like made Christmas like brunch together, and then like we did a Secret Santa because we're all a bunch of grown adults, so we're like,
no, yeah, that totally makes sense.
So like we like exchanged like gifts and like we hung out for a little bit, and then like me and my brother caught the 7:34 train back.
Oh,
so it was like, yeah, we were like, all right, bye guys.
That's nice.
It was really
that sounds like a good day.
It's a very abrupt exit. Also,
it
was like, oh, you want to catch the 7:34? I was like, yeah,
time
we just
to
like
go.
Put our jackets on and left.
No, I get that. There definitely comes a time with the holidays where it's like it is like time to go.
Oh yeah, 100%. How about you? How was yours?
It was good. I actually went home for like I feel like the like perfect amount of time.
Okay.
The first time like ever. Because I went home from like Sunday to Thursday, and I kind of like yeah, I got, of course, like, you know, going home to, you know, suburban New Jersey isn't always the most exciting, and like sometimes it's a little bit boring here and there, but I feel like I got like a fulfilled little break in my hometown.
In your little suburban New Jersey, did you hang out with anybody from like high school?
A couple, yeah. I have a family of friends that I met in high school that I hang out with, generally.
You have a family of friends?
Yeah, my best friend's family. He didn't make it home for Christmas this year. He's in South Carolina, but
a friend's family.
Yeah, so I like go and hang out with them. Otherwise, I don't really have that many people from high school.
Really?
That I, like, still talk to.
Okay.
No, I didn't love high school.
I thought high school was amazing to me.
Oh wow. I hated it.
I was so good. I was so good at high school. I got so many superlatives. I was so popular.
Wow.
And I was gay as hell as that. Like,
that's lucky.
I know. My life was just like so good.
So what's the gayest thing that happened to you this Christmas week?
The gayest thing that's happened to me this... Oh my God. Okay, technically, it wasn't the gayest thing that happened to me. It's the gayest thing I bestowed on others.
That counts.
So... Typically what I do is like whenever I go to any family event, I try to be as gay as possible in what I wear because that's just the life I lead. And
yeah.
Like, hold on really quick. I'm going to find you a picture of my outfit. I'll put it on our podcast Instagram story when this comes out. But put it this way, it was like a layered outfit. It was like a 3-piece.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I look.
That's what you wore to Christmas?
That is exactly what I wore to Christmas.
God.
So there's a tank top, and then on top of this is like a bodysuit. So this like red and white thing is a bodysuit, and then I threw like, some jeans on top.
It looks like a wrestler's outfit worn backwards.
Yeah, and there's like holes in the back. It's like a thong in the back. It's a whole moment.
Wow.
So I decided to give my family like Christmas moment.
I think I would literally, if I wore something like that to Christmas, I would be like crucified.
And then the second gayest thing was everyone caught pictures of my discontent at things happening. They were like, you have 2 moods. It's either I hate this or I need to record this to show people how much I hate this.
Yeah.
So those were the moments.
Wow. Yeah. That's something. You really did gay it out for Christmas.
Oh, I gay it out for like last Christmas I had like floor length fringe on. Like, oh yeah, I give my family like moments.
Wow.
Yeah. I think next year for Christmas, I'm going to dress like the Virgin Mary.
Oh, no.
And, like, have a baby, like an actual baby in my arm.
Like a real baby.
Yeah, and I'm going to...
You and Drew adopt.
I'm going to make Drew dress like Joseph. He's
Not God.
Never going to do that. No.
God's the one that technically gets to fuck you.
Oh, he didn't... Okay, we're not going to go into that. I don't think he fucked Mary. I don't think he did. Okay, so what was the gayest thing that's happened to you in this Holy Week?
I mean, I did go to church in a sweater. No, that's not it. That's like this. Oh God, it was awful. So like whenever I go home for pretty much any holiday, it doesn't really have to be Christmas. Mm-hmm. When I come home, I am so horny.
Well, yeah, because you haven't gotten laid in more than 3 hours.
And I like something usually needs to happen that day.
Oh, like you're tired of shoving vegetables in yourself at home?
Yeah,
You
like
make
the
real deal
zucchini inside of me like does it. Like my butthole is absorbing all the nutrients.
Okay. Also, so we're gonna do anything. Every time on the podcast moving forward, you reference your butthole. I'm just gonna have a little ding, like a tallier, so that then by the end of 2019, we're gonna tally up how many times in the year you talked about your butthole on this podcast. Just so like, it's,
all right,
it's kind of like therapy for you. So
that's fine. I'm not gonna stop.
Oh, I'm not telling you to stop. I'm just gonna give you real introspective moments here. So keep going. You came home and you were like, "Man, I need a fist in me."
It was less of a fest and more of like I just needed to be like ravaged. And I got it. I got ravaged. There was this guy I met at Rosemont last weekend before I went home who asked me out. And I got he destroyed my butthole last night.
Last week I'm like, after we recorded?
Yeah. I went to Rosemont.
That same night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weren't you like on a date after we recorded
this
with
guy was
someone?
in a bathroom and I was still dancing and I almost shouldn't talk about this. And that guy like met me or whatever and was like I'm on a date. I can't like talk to you, but yeah, here's my number, I guess.
That's the only reason why I'm laughing is because you're like, I met him at Rosemont, and like I'm like doing the math in my head. I'm like, wait a minute, is that Rosemont?
I was hoping you wouldn't be able to do the math.
Oh, I'm so good at these things.
This is bad.
Oh, it's fine.
All right, well,
it's fine.
Sorry to everyone.
Well, either way, it's bad because you got your butthole ravaged by the same person yesterday, so it doesn't even matter.
Well, not the same person.
By the person whose number you got.
Yeah,
so it's fine.
Yeah, not the guy I was on a date with.
Yeah.
I would like to still, though.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will.
You made me feel like a slut now.
I'm not slut-shaming you.
No, I know.
I'm life-shaming you. There's a
Fair
total
enough.
difference.
This is a... What's your news item?
Well, the thing was like this week, I just felt like it was so slow in news.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm just going to talk about the Black Mirror, like, interactive movie that drops tomorrow on Netflix.
Yeah, cool.
Just because, like... Well, you know what? I think Christmas week is always like a slow week in news. Mm-hmm. A lot of studios are like...
Well, there was the big trailer release, but you go ahead with your thing.
Was there? I don't know.
Jordan Peele.
Oh, us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm pumped about it.
I am, but like...
Keep going.
I don't know. Yeah, so the Black Mirror movie is going to be a totally interactive movie, which is going to like mirror these Telltale games that have come out. So it's like remember though when we were all children, and by we were all children I mean everyone who listens to this are in totally different age ranges, but remember those choose your own story books things?
It's that but Black Mirror.
It's that but a movie, and it's Black Mirror, so pretty much it's gonna suck no matter what you do. There's not going to be a happy ending.
Oh, probably. Oh, no, yeah.
There's not going to, like, no matter what you do, no matter the decisions you make, there's not going to be a happy ending. But it's going to be really interesting because, like, I think that, like, I think only, I remember you told me just, like, it was only the Puss in Boots movie that's done this before.
There was, like, a Puss in Boots cartoon that had also done this. And I think another Netflix show, I forget which, I think it was another, like, more children's programming.
Okay.
This is like the first like this is the first like attempt to capture a more adult audience with this kind of idea.
I think this
is also probably going to be, I mean, come on, the Puss in Boots like cartoon on Netflix, like it's not going to be of the same caliber as like a Black Mirror.
Of course, the Puss in Boots cartoon is way better. No, but like I think this is also going to be really interesting because this is giving the filmmaker a chance to prove of how much of a filmmaker he is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, especially the writing team, like you have to also take into consideration what it takes to make this, and it's like if every single decision you make can tell a cohesive story, and then you can make a totally different amount of decisions and it also makes cohesive story. Uh-huh. You know, like it's not like one route of decisions makes a good story and all the other ones fall to the wayside. Because
Right.
that happens sometimes, especially in like video games like this.
Heavy Rain. Oh my god, I fucking hated Heavy Rain.
Yeah, like sometimes, like that's the thing. It's like if you make one set of decisions, which are supposed to be like the quote canon decisions.
Yeah.
Those make the cohesive, great story, and then everything else is just like well.
Yeah, Mass Effect kind of does that.
Mass Effect is alright.
I love Mass Effect,
think
but like no, they are definitely
Dragon
guilty
Age
of
does a
that.
better job with those.
I haven't played, but
Those are if you want to play some good.
well,
games.
Telltale. I mean, Telltale is actually I feel like probably the.
There's a Batman Telltale one.
It's actually
right?
really fun.
Is it?
Yeah, I really liked it. But no, I mean, what's interesting to me is the little soundbite that I heard was that they've made 5 hours of footage for this, and yet it's like the runtime of the movie while you're making decisions is only 90 minutes.
Which means there's not a lot of decisions to make. I think.
Well, no, I would say it means there's probably a lot of decisions to make.
Maybe
if there's
not.
5 hours of footage.
But if you also break down the way that the films work, I think there's going to be like a decision at like the inciting incident, the break into Act 1, the midpoint, the climax, and then the break into Act 3, and then the denouement.
Well, maybe. I mean, we don't know.
We don't know. That's very true.
We need to. I mean, I'm gonna investigate this like pretty hardcore today and figure out a way to write about this thing.
Yeah, but I think also that's the way. If you're gonna do it in a film, that's kind of the way to do it, is to make the decisions at those moments. Only because then, like, you also want to make it so it's an enjoyable film.
Yeah, no, it needs to still be the medium that it is, but at the same time, like what if this spawns a whole new medium?
That's true. That's very true.
It's very possible.
It's going to
But
be
at the
so
same time,
difficult
I
for
mean,
people to get railed during this because you have to stop. What
yeah,
they're
you
doing and make a
can't
decision.
just like casually sit and watch.
Yeah, this
Netflix
isn't a
with
casual
which is
sit and
fine.
watch.
I mean, casually sitting and watching Netflix, like, that's not how I want to engage with most of my shows.
Anyway, yeah.
But I'm really interested to see what the like result of having my input in somebody else's story ends up being. Like, how emotionally rewarding is that going to be? I'm really interested to see what they've done here with this.
Okay.
I can't wait to dive in. Dive in?
Yeah. I've never heard you
What?
use that sentence.
What do you
I
mean?
can't wait to dive in because you're like a total bottom, so it's funny when you say that.
Oh.
It's funny when you
Usually I'm the pool.
Yeah. It's not often that the tub gets to dive in the person.
Does this get a ding? Does this count?
I'm sorry. That made me so happy for some reason. Oh my god, I'm craving a burrito. What's
Right now?
Yeah.
You want me to whip something up?
There's like this like burrito place by my place that is like really like this really healthy Mexican spot. It's called Al Horno. Oh my god.
What response did you think that was gonna get from me?
I know, but it's so
Al
good.
Horno?
It's so good. Like they do like these like really good like quinoa, kale, shredded beef.
Quinoa, kale, cock burritos.
I mean, basically, it's like a cock meat sandwich. But like, they're so good. I really want one. I'm gonna get one when I get home.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your?
Well, the Us trailer came out on Christmas.
Not to be
That's what
confused
it's
with the
called.
beautiful torture porn television show This Is Us,
True.
starring.
I hate that show so much. But no, Jordan Peele's follow-up to Get Out. The trailer is interesting. Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke are the stars. What I'm interested in, like the comparison that I made myself with it was, it reminds me a little of like how Alex Garland went and made a fairly, maybe not straightforward is probably not the right word, but it was a fairly simple story with Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Where Get Out has kind of a similar like this is the concept, we're doing it pretty much perfectly. And Ex Machina kind of has the same vibe. Mm-hmm. And then Alex Garland this year obviously went and did Annihilation, which is a little bit messier, but also a whole lot weirder. And I feel like that's what this movie is going to be, Us, where it's really like, it looks like it is far more complex emotionally and story-wise than Get Out ventured to be. But it also, I mean, with that, it'll probably be like a peg down like as far as like filmmaking. Granted, I love Annihilation. So I'm really curious to see what it ends up being. Comes out in a couple months.
The one thing that I always notice about these follow-up movies, but this isn't like a follow-up, but like sometimes filmmakers have like a lot of time to work on that one passion project that gets executed perfectly, and
like
because they had so much more time and so much more of a concept to like do it, it like goes well, and then like when you try to follow that up very quickly after with something else just to kind of keep that buzz going, it never lives up to the original product. And I'm not saying this isn't going to, I'm just hoping that it does.
Yeah,
like I'm hoping that it doesn't fall into that like, oh, this was good, this is Get Out light.
Yeah, well, I don't think it looks like that at all.
Yeah.
I think it looks like something totally different that you could tell is probably the same stamp of, like, director. Mm-hmm. But, like again, Annihilation, Ex Machina, totally different movies. You can definitely feel that they're both Alex Garland. One's more ambitious than the other, but also messier. Mm-hmm. And that is just the total vibe that I got from this.
Okay.
But that means that, like, I mean, I love Annihilation, as you'll see next week. And I don't know. I'm so excited to see what he does next and to see what that means going forward for, like, Jordan Peele's career. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's my news item. And Lupita in a horror movie. I love Lupita.
I love me some Lupita.
She's great.
She's fucking great is an understatement, but whatever.
Fine.
You know what it is?
Fantabulous.
She's one of those people that like I want more for her.
I always want more for her.
Because I feel like
that Black Panther sub role was good, but it wasn't enough. It was not enough.
Like I think that like she's very capable. She's more than capable in my opinion. Like I remember hearing she was going to be Maz Kanata in like The Force Awakens. I was so excited, and then like that was like one scene.
She has like a scene and a half over 2 movies.
Yeah, and I was just like, damn it, like because like she's really, especially like when you think about like 12 Years a Slave, like to me she stole the show.
I agree, totally.
She stole the show in 12 Years a Slave. And, like, I think that, like, she's more than capable of doing stuff, so...
Yeah, I agree. No, I think she's a great actress.
Let's get it started in here.
Yeah. Yes, let's do it. You want to introduce us to our film of the week?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, are you kidding me? I'm like an Adam McKay fanboy.
Oh, boy.
I'm actually, like, I'm like an Adam McKay fanboy light. I really do love his work. So
okay.
we're doing, this is the reason I'm so excited for this movie. We're doing Vice, written and directed by Adam McKay. It is...
Who's that?
Adam McKay,
I'm just kidding.
He directed The Big Short, which is one of my favorite movies.
Let's talk about the other movies he's directed, too.
Fine. He did American Hustle, right?
No, he did like Anchorman and Step Brothers.
Yes. Why am I thinking that he did? Oh, you know why I'm thinking that he did that? Is because American Hustle was the cast of people that he really loves to be with.
It also has like fat Christian Bale.
Yeah, which is Adam McKay. Like if Adam McKay's doing something, it's an overweight Christian Bale.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, he's done both Anchormans. The other guy is Step Brothers.
Which is like
Talladega Nights.
Yeah, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
So pretty much, if we're growing up in between the years 2009. Well, if you were a teenager between 2006 and 2012, you've seen a lot of his shit.
Yeah, you've probably seen some.
And you've quoted it with your friends, and you've thought this was some of the best movies you've ever seen in your life.
Anchorman is still, I think, one of my favorite comedies from the aughts.
From the what?
From the aughts.
From the what?
It's the aughts.
The who?
Aughts. Butthole. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, it's all we're going to start dinging you on aughts and butthole.
Aughts and butthole.
I think aught is just another term for butthole. But, yeah, so this is... That's what Adam McKay has done. This movie is starring Christian Bale. It's got Steve Carell.
As who?
Christian Bale is Dick Cheney. Amy Adams is Lynn Cheney. Ooh. Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld. Sam Rockwell as George Bush. Tyler Perry as Colin Powell.
Yeah.
Unknown woman as Condoleezza Rice with no lines.
She looked so much like Condoleezza Rice.
She looks exactly like Condoleezza Rice and doesn't speak, which was Condoleezza Rice's run in that administration. Was look but don't be seen but don't be heard.
A couple little lines here and there, but anyway.
Yeah, the same thing with Condoleezza Rice during the Bush administration.
I know.
She had a couple little lines here and there.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I'm just gonna start this off.
Yeah, go ahead. What was your impression before?
My first impression of this movie was this is gonna be fucking dope because the trailer has the song "The Man" by The Killers, which is one of my favorite songs.
Okay.
And I was like, when you think about like that song, which is pretty much a song, like one of the lines is, "I've got news for you, baby. You're looking at the man," where it's like, it's pretty much the song about like, it's like the song of high self-esteem. Like, if you ever feel like you have low self-esteem, listen to "The Man" by The Killers while you're walking down the street. You will push an old lady out of your way where you're like, and you know, I'm famous. I don't say sorry.
I mean, Dick Cheney probably would have too.
Dick Cheney probably has. But like watching that trailer and watching like the thing about Adam McKay is like Adam McKay knows what he's fucking doing. When like Adam McKay knows how to make an Adam McKay movie. Where, like, to put a stamp on a film.
Okay.
Like, he's a very show not tell filmmaker, but he's still telling you at the same time. Like, he's the king.
I feel like he shows and tells, like, at the same time.
Yeah, he's the king of Pope in the Pool, where it's like, if he's going to give you exposition, there's going to be something crazy happening in the background. Like, I'm always thinking about, like, think about, like, The Big Short and, like, when he was trying to explain banking to people and he had Selena Gomez cut a fish open. Like, things like that are, like...
Anthony
like
Bourdain scene.
Yeah, like the movie or not, there's always going to be something weird happening to give you the exposition you need.
What was it? Margot Robbie like sitting in a bathtub or something?
It was Margot Robbie sitting in a bathtub explaining like he like enlists the help of people to do something stupid.
It's very funny.
And like it always like it takes something that's so uninteresting because like the one thing I can say about Adam McKay in these last couple films that he's done is that like he has something to say about the fate of America and the things that have happened that people have never gotten answers to.
Yes, he has a little too much to say.
Yeah, he has a little too much to say, but like the way that he goes about saying it is in a way where he's like, the reason why we're not listening to this is because it's being explained in a way that is above everyone's head. He's like, I'm going to meet you in the middle.
Yeah.
Like he makes Republican movies for Democrats.
No, this is the most liberal movie, I think.
That's what I mean. It's like where he's like...
He made a movie about a Republican.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, if it's a movie about Dick Cheney from like the view of Fox News, no one's going to see it.
No.
Because it's going to look a lot like The Passion of the Christ. But he's like, oh, I'm going to make a movie about Dick Cheney, but for every Democrat in the world to see.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like...
It was almost to the point that I found it like a little bit like grating.
A little bit, and like the problem that I have is that like I think that he doesn't. Maybe he understands his demographic a little too well because like there were points in this movie that I was like pandering. I was watching and like I liked it, but like the girls, I was in the Angelica, by the way, and like you know those rows that are like the 5 seats. I was like in the dead middle, hoping nobody would sit next to me, and lo and behold, I got like 2 white girls on one side, and I got 2 white girls on the other side, and all 4 white girls were late.
No, that's the worst.
It was the worst, to the point that like there was one. I forgot what point in the movie it was. The girl who was directly next to me was like, ugh. And I was like, "Are you serious right now? Like this is the past. It's not currently happening. Like it's okay."
Even so,
but there was like it was like a moment from like the 60s.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And she was like, "Ugh," and I was like, "He hasn't done anything yet. He's still an intern. He just said a sentence." I was like, "Wait till we get to like the aughts."
Yeah, no, exactly. This movie takes place so much in the aughts.
Oh, okay, so this is one thing I do want to talk about the movie. That was the one fault for me that like Adam McKay maybe could have done better with. The time jumping in this movie just didn't help it. Oh, someone's getting arrested. Oh, that's an ambulance. We're just gonna wait for the ambulance to go by. Because I can hear it clearly.
Yeah,
I can hear
it.
So
yeah, it's very loud. No, I mean, okay, so like my first impression of this, I love the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer's fucking great.
And like, I was very pumped about it. I love Christian Bale. I love Amy Adams. Sam Rockwell in the trailer looked perfect as Bush, and I would say
Sam Rockwell's the fucking
great.
Man.
He was great. He was maybe my favorite of like the like side impressions, because there were a lot of those.
Yeah. No, he wasn't my favorite, but yeah, there was a lot of them.
Yeah, and I don't think I liked this movie.
Really?
Yeah,
I liked it. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would, but I liked it.
I enjoyed a lot of pieces of it.
Yeah. Okay.
As a whole, it bit off, I think, more than it can chew. And then it gets to this point where it's trying to connect Cheney to like the California wildfires and like the
Did it?
Yeah, there's that montage at the end that like essentially like rounds up all of like the current American issues, and like it's like the scene is very clearly trying to like kind of put the blame on
I don't think
Cheney.
So I think the difference with that was because didn't that come right after the quote where it was like any president can do this at any point? The absolute power, the absolute thing.
Did it? I don't remember.
Yeah, because
quote,
I remember it quoted it like any president can do it at any point. And I thought that was his way of saying like Donald Trump's gonna do this, and then like he showed all of that stuff.
I disagree because there was definitely like a lot of the montage revolves around Cheney, and then
Does it? Okay.
And then it goes
really
into like stuff that's happening right now that like Cheney isn't responsible for the California wildfires and how poorly our government currently like responded to them this year. Like he just isn't. So like there were some wide sweeping connections that were made like that made me feel like McKay is kind of just like really angry.
Yeah.
And really wanted to make like a political rant movie and didn't know how to tie his anger from the past into his anger from the present.
This movie was the king of, this was a really fun conspiracy theory movie where like if somebody was like yelling conspiracy theory, you know what this movie was? Somebody yelled a conspiracy theory on YouTube.
Kinda.
Just like from the 60s till like now, like they just made a whole connecting conspiracy theory, and Adam McKay put the images behind that for them.
I mean, there's enough fact in here.
Yes.
That I was like watching it. I was never like, oh, that's like bullshit. Like so little of this movie feels like bullshit. As far as what they're what like the numbers are that they're putting out and like stuff like that. But it just like the mood of the whole movie is so leftist. And I'm a bleeding liberal. Like I am as
you're a leaky vessel of a liberal.
I am as left as it gets. And like I found it like a little bit like grating. Like it was just like pounding. Like it just felt like it was pandering to me.
It was,
and I don't really like to be pandered to.
You just like be pandered in.
And just like pander my whole ding ding ding. Should I just yell ding?
Please do. Let's
All
like
right.
Okay, yeah. But the thing about this movie is like again, there were a lot of pieces that I really did enjoy. I liked the movie, but I didn't love it. I loved The Big Short.
I like The Big Short better.
I think that what would have helped is if maybe there was a little bit more of like there was like a lot of bizarre things in The Big Short. Selena Gomez cutting open a fish, Margot Robbie drinking champagne in a bathtub while explaining things to you.
You still had that here.
You still had that here, but not really. I mean, we had like that one like when they were quoting Shakespeare.
Yeah, that was okay.
Was that supposed to be Macbeth? It was supposed to be Macbeth, right?
I don't know exactly which one it was. Macbeth would probably make the most sense. It was sense, Macbeth. But I don't know if they like wrote it themselves because I actually I saw it with my mom and she's like an English teacher and she was like, I was like, whoa, what was that afterwards? She was like, I don't think it's Macbeth, but it's like, all right, well, whatever. But
it might have been King Lear. I think it was King Lear. It could have been King Lear.
I'm not sure which it was, but
I'll read an article on all the Easter eggs and
the other one that I really did love was the dinner scene where they all go to the restaurant. Cheney, Rumsfeld, and his lawyer, and they're all ordering off like the menu of like
you can do whatever the fuck you want because nobody will.
Of ways to get away with torture.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
And he was like, we'll have them all. That was great.
Yeah,
that was very
I thought that was great. And the end credits thing was a good punchline to a joke that was like way too winding and long.
Yeah.
So, okay, after, like, this movie kind of starts as, like, a fairly traditional biopic. Mm-hmm. And then it, like, right before George W. Bush, like, calls Cheney to be his VP, the movie rolls the end credits with, like, a big sweeping score. Mm-hmm. And, like, it's very funny, but I wish I didn't have to watch, like, part of a generic biopic to get there. You know?
Well, the one thing for me was like I didn't think Amy Adams' acting in here was that great.
I actually kind of thought she was, like, maybe... She acted the most, I thought.
I think she was acting too much is the problem. Like, when... The only scene that I really liked was when... And this was the only... It's really one moment I liked from even that whole scene. When she's like... When he's drunk and he comes home and she's like yelling at him and his mom is like, does Dick want some coffee? And she's like, does Dick want some... Jesus Christ, get out! Like, that's where I was like, okay, Amy, now you're doing your thing. But I feel like for a lot of the movie, it felt like... I don't know. I guess maybe she was invoking Lynn Cheney. Maybe Lynn Cheney is really just that grating of a human.
I don't know, like, Lynn Cheney's media presence has not left much of an impression
at all.
Me. Yeah. I mean, granted, probably when she was really, really on the campaign trail, I was just too young. Because, I mean, she was on the campaign trail probably in, like, 2000, and I was 9. So,
I was 7, so...
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
So, like, my impression of Lynn Cheney isn't, like, that cemented. But I think Amy Adams was simultaneously given the most range to work with in her scenes, while still the movie didn't really know what to do with that range.
Yeah. Okay. That's plausible.
As far as Christian Bale, God, it's such a good impression, and he's amazing. I mean, he does the work he does with his body is incredible.
Yeah.
And like his impression, the way he captures the mannerism is really good. I wanted him to go deeper. I wanted the movie to go deeper.
Do you want him to be like literally? You wanted him just to?
No, I don't. I don't need him to literally be Cheney. I want a little bit more of a deep dive into his psyche. And this movie more so was like, here's who Cheney was, here's what he did, we think, and then like Christian Bale kind of like did that. You get that scene in the end where Cheney just addresses the camera, which was the closest to what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And I wish it didn't come when the movie was wrapping up. I wish it had come earlier. Not that I needed, this like big apologetic Dick Cheney biopic, but there are ways to do these movies about these people that are like truly awful, where there's more feeling and there's more of a dive into what that person was really thinking or at least assuming what that was. And
well, I think that we kind of got that only because like I feel like with a lot of the stuff happened, like you can tell Dick Cheney is one of those people who like he'll do something and he'll be super casual about it. Because even like those scenes where whenever he was having a heart attack.
Oh yeah, he'd be like, I have to go to the hospital.
Like, well, the first one when he dropped down to the ground, they're like, "Are you okay?" Like, do you like? I think they asked like, "Can you breathe?" He's like, "I'm having a heart attack, you idiot."
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And then like when he's like, they're in the house and he just like kind of like closes his fist and he goes, "All right, guys, I think I gotta go to the hospital." Yeah. Like, it was real like that to me. Those were some of my favorite scenes only because I was like, "Whoa, that's like real casual." Because like. Anybody else would be like, uh-oh. Yeah,
it did a good job of like imagining what Cheney would do in those like more intimate situations.
But I feel like,
I
feel like this movie had to do a lot of imagination for Cheney.
It did, of course, because Cheney was so enigmatic.
So that's the thing when you make a movie about somebody who like, because for the most part, when you think about it, George Bush was the face of so much.
Oh yeah, totally.
That like doing a movie about George Bush is too easy.
Yeah, and they did it. They did it like as the administration was ending with Oliver Stone's W.
Yeah,
which was good, but it also kind of pointed at Cheney. I think it was Richard Dreyfuss played Cheney in that movie, and it also kind of pointed toward Cheney, like kind of really running the show.
Well, Cheney did run the show.
Yeah,
and I think that like this movie really shows that Cheney was smart enough to run the show.
Yeah, no, there's definitely no indication that he was unintelligent. There's also a lot of indication that he was evil.
Yeah.
There's always I mean the way that the movie was portraying.
Oh yeah. Do you think he's not evil?
No, I think he's evil. But I almost wish the movie did more with that kind of evil,
Well, I think the one thing about this movie is that it kind of shows that like evil can be casual in the way it does things.
Yeah, I think I knew that already.
And like, yeah, but like, at the end of the day, the one thing Dick Cheney was about, he was only about finding, like, having absolute power and having things go the way that he felt they should go. And I think that, like, doing anything else Like, I don't know. It's weird because it's really weird when, like, you're making a movie about somebody who's still alive.
I mean, yeah.
Because you can't go too far.
Why not?
Well, because then that person will be like,
oh, I can see you, whatever.
Yeah. But then you also can't, like, imagine too much because, like, there's also, I mean...
But imagine, like,
we're making a movie about, like, literally 18 years ago.
And this movie is, yeah, and, like,
so it's sooner. Really, like, yeah, and even sooner. So, like, it's kind of really hard to do that only because, like, you can imagine everything from the 60s because, like, that's fine. That's super long ago and that's up in the air. But then, like, when you do things from 18 years ago and people who, like, who worked in that administration also still being alive, being like, that didn't happen. Like, you don't want to be discredited
What's so
on a
funny,
movie where you're like, it's a true story.
Yeah, but, like, Cheney hasn't, like, really come out and, like, he's not suing Adam McKay.
He probably doesn't know this movie came out.
I
mean, maybe he knows, but he was like, I'm not going to go see that all the time.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
He's like, I got so much to do.
I would be compelled to see. What does he have to do? He's, like, confined to a wheelchair, I think, now.
He's in a wheelchair now?
I remember 10 years ago when Obama's inauguration was happening, when, like, W. Bush had to, like, read whatever, they wheeled out Cheney in a wheelchair on Obama's inauguration, and it was, like... this is weird to say, but it was, like, borderline poetic.
But that was that post that heart surgery?
I think so, yeah.
It might have just been right after the heart surgery.
I want to say he's still in a wheelchair. I don't know.
He must have some good upper body strength now.
I doubt it.
Sweet.
But,
muscles.
No, I mean, he's probably almost done. No, I don't know. There's a lot of things, like, this movie had so many things about it that were, like, really, really fun. But I almost wonder, like this movie wanted to have the same kind of fun that The Big Short had. But then, like, The Big Short is so much closer to being able to have that kind of fun because Cheney was so awful and so many people died because of how awful he was. Whereas, like, The Big Short, yeah, people lost their money, but very few people, like, died. Mm-hmm. You know?
That's true. I'm sorry. I'm just, like, seeing all these headlines, like, humanizing Dick Cheney.
Which I don't think this movie did.
I don't think it did that at all.
Yeah.
If anything, I think
it's not a fault, but, like, it's...
I think this movie, like, kind of separates him from humanity when, like, every time he wants something done, like, we see images of drone strikes in the Middle East.
Right.
And then, like, immediately after those scenes, it would be, like, him eating dinner with his family.
See, like, all the stuff where he was kind of manipulating the Iraq War, I thought that was great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in general, I thought that was great. It's where the movie tries to reach a little bit farther and where it tries to develop him as a person beforehand that I think it fails. Yeah,
where it's all, like... It starts with, like, the whole, I'm doing this to impress my wife, and I'm like, that's probably not why you did this.
Yeah.
And, like, you get, like, he comes home drunk, and she's all like, I want to make sure I found the right man.
Yeah, that was, you know, I mean, it was just generic biopic stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I know, like... Like, again, there were pieces of this movie that I liked, and I think that, like, the one thing about this movie, though, is, like, one, it kind of did feel too long in the middle.
Yeah, there were parts that were a little slow.
Once we get into, like, the Bush administration I was in. But then also, like, his other stuff wasn't really that big of a deal.
Right.
Like,
it was
people
just
were
like,
watching for the Bush administration. We weren't watching for the Reagan administration. We weren't watching for Ford. We weren't watching for Nixon.
Which is why I felt all those scenes were really for that punchline of the end credits thing. And it just... this movie felt like it was made for punchlines and out of anger.
Well, I think the whole beginning of it was also so, like, we can see his relationship with Donald Rumsfeld, and so that the betrayal with Donald Rumsfeld can be felt.
I didn't feel a thing.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Because, like, also it happened too late in the movie, and also you could see it coming.
You could see it coming. I liked Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld.
Here's the thing. I love Steve Carell.
Me too. I mean, he's terrible on Welcome to Marwen, but, you know.
I still have to see that.
It's so really awful. Oh, my God.
I'm sure he's not. I'm sure you just hated it.
He's given terrible material, and he doesn't deliver it very well. Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, The thing about this movie, though, it's really difficult for me because, like, I don't know, like, a lot about the Bush administration because during the Bush administration, I wasn't even out of middle school yet. So, like, I wasn't even, like... It's not like now where, like, you know how like, currently, and even in the Obama administration, with, like, the use of, like, the internet and the parameters around that and how, like, quickly social media became, like, such a big thing that, like, you could look into the administration because journalists can post articles straight to the internet instead of waiting for it to be posted in, like, magazines and newspapers. Yeah. I think that, like... But also, here's the funny thing. I went to a very Christian school, and, oh my God, both the Bush administrations, they had us write letters to George Bush about supporting him.
About you supporting him?
Yeah. So I went to a really...
That's horrible.
I went to, like, a really Christian school.
In New York?
In New York, in Manhattan.
Oh
I went to an extremely Christian school. And so, like, it's really funny when, like, I look at it and, like, I watch this because I'm like, fuck. Like... It was to the point that, like, all the teachers at my school definitely voted for Bush.
Yeah.
And a lot of Christians around the country were just voting for Bush because that's how we vote.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's how Trump got elected, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, that was, like... Yeah, so, like, that was the thing.
That's terrible.
I know.
I can't wait. I mean,
So, like, as I'm watching this, I'm like, you guys like that guy.
Yeah. No, like, to be, like, slightly fair, like, in the year or two after 9/11...
That's, 100% people got behind him.
Well, yeah. I mean, no, but Bush's response to 9/11 was I mean, his initial response was really good. Like, it was just genuinely heartfelt, it was compassionate, and it was with force. Well, so, like, he kind of did everything that Americans wanted right away, and then the way Cheney took those ramifications and blew them up into something that lasted until us having troops in the Middle East until, like, very recently. And, like, I think we still have people over there, but there's not as much of a war going on, at least that we're involved in.
No.
Like the ramifications
for a bit and was like, oh, let's get out of there.
The ramifications of everything that happened were so immense that, like, you can't help but blame Bush a little. Yeah. Or a lot.
I also want to look into, because this movie makes an implication that, like, because of because of Colin Powell's speech, that one dude from ISIS went into hiding and then made ISIS shortly after. I want to, like, look into, like, the truth, because if we know that person's, like, name,
I know that, like, the ISIS is kind of a direct response of our response to Al Qaeda.
Okay.
I know that. I don't know how much that particular speech is really tied to it. The movie probably dramatizes that, but, like, no, that's yeah.
Like, because he saw that one speech on the TV, then he goes into hiding, then he makes ISIS, and now they're blowing everything
up. That's the way it's portrayed in the
movie. That's
exactly.
They pretty much portrayed it as in, like, Dick Cheney's the reason, because Dick Cheney wrote the speech, so...
Which, look, Dick Cheney's response to Al Qaeda, yeah, that definitely plays into it. The way that different terrorist organizations were attacked and treated in the midst of, I mean, yeah, terrorist organizations are bad, but, like, how many of them should we have attacked, given their relationship to 9/11? Like questions like that are things that this movie raises, and it's interesting.
I think we should have attacked all of them.
I don't know.
Just being stupid. Yeah. But, like, I don't know. It was just, like, it's really... the movie puts you in a weird place.
Yeah.
Because, like, one of the things about this movie also is, like, the reason why, a piece of why this movie doesn't work for me is because this movie doesn't really have, like, an antagonist. So, like, you have no reason to root for Dick Cheney.
It has, like, 4.
Really? Who?
I would say Rumsfeld is an antagonist.
Not to Dick Cheney, because he's never done anything to stop Dick Cheney.
Yeah, but even so, he was an...
Well, because the Dick Cheneys are pro.
Right.
Like, if our Dick Cheneys are pro, our antagonists have to be the exact opposite force of where Cheney's going. Rumsfeld runs parallel to Cheney.
So would it just be the media?
Not even, because, like, the media that we see for the most part... Like, we never see anybody...
That's true.
...try to, like...
The media never really, like...
...stop him.
Yeah.
And, like, every time there's even the thought of a slight antagonist to Cheney, like, smacks them down with the hand of God.
I guess, is this a movie where you don't really need an antagonist because, like, the protagonists, like, are awful?
Well, maybe not. I guess maybe because then you don't want to root for this protagonist, but then, like, also it's like, then why am I here? But then you know why you're here. That's why I'm saying it puts you in a weird place.
Well, this, like, as far as, like, the fun and games portion of a movie, this movie kind of, like, there's fun and games throughout this movie.
Adam McKay's movies are very interesting when it comes down to fun and games, because a lot of his fun and games are those really weird moments that we were just talking about before, those expositional moments.
Absurdist humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can tell he has a really weird sense of humor. Look at Step Brothers.
It's a good sense of humor.
It's great, but it's very weird.
Yeah, and it's just like the way it comes alive in this movie. It felt a little shallow given how many people have, like, died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But, like, I still, like, sort of appreciate his approach, because, I mean...
I do, too.
I, like, as far as, like, as negative as I feel like I sound like I'm being towards this movie, like, I still agree with Adam McKay. Like,
I hope you don't
like,
disagree.
yeah, like, there's no portion of this movie where I'm like, oh no, Adam McKay, he stretched too far. Like, no, I agree with that. Well, besides the connection of Cheney and some of the stuff that's been happening lately. But, so, like, I don't know. Like, this movie was, it was tough to swallow. It was a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. Well, because I think the one thing that Cheney also was showing was, like, how important politics are in America to people around the world. How, like, the people we vote in have an influence over the world. Because I feel like really the point of this movie was, besides showing people what happened, where he's like, cautionary tale, look how much power we actually have when we vote people in. He was like, let's start to think about the things we do.
Yeah.
Because then he also, like, I mean, when he had, like, all these lawyers breaking down how, like, he's like, if anybody knows about these things that I, as a filmmaker, easily got access to finding.
Right.
And they can do this again, like, we could be in for some really bad shit.
I mean, we already
yeah, but he's like, this one person did all of this, and we're still seeing the ramifications of that.
He did it quietly.
If another person decides to do it quietly in another region...
We have people doing it loudly now, and nobody gives a shit.
Well, I think that's the difference between Cheney and Trump.
Uh-huh.
Is that we have someone doing it loudly and on social media, so are they really doing it?
He's the worst.
Because, like, the difference with Cheney is, like, Cheney, like...
Everything's the worst.
Well, the difference is, like, Cheney had, like, a plan A and a plan B. It was, like, there's oil in Iraq. I have to find a reason to go to Iraq. Oh, this one guy may have had a meeting with this one guy. And even though the meeting didn't go well, and we know it didn't go well, I'm going to tell people that it went another way and get people behind it, and that's what's going to happen. And we're going to go there.
See, like, I have to give McKay some credit, because, like, this movie did do exactly what it set out to do.
100%.
In that it made me, like, laugh about some of this stuff, while also making me, like, deeply sad.
It informed me on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but just, like, things. There were things I knew.
There were dedefinitely, like,
there are a lot of things you know.
The way it ties everything together is,
throughout this movie, I felt exciting. Like I was Condoleezza Rice. Where, you know, you're just kind of watching, and, you know, you're just kind of like, is this okay?
Yeah, and it's like so much of it is so bad. I don't know. This movie made me sad. Now we're talking about it, I'm sad.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. So, like, that's kind of the thing about Adam McKay is that, like, these last two movies that he's done have been, like, these are sometimes that the bed has really been shit.
Yeah,
by us.
And
he's like, I can make you laugh about it, but we should really be sad about it because look at how easily it happened.
Yeah, I think The Big Short pulled that off better. Just because by the end of The Big Short, I was like, you could see how the main characters of The Big Short just like had bit off more than they can chew.
Well,
and,
also
like,
the reason why it worked in The Big Short was
apart.
because the very end of The Big Short, where it's like that climax where everything's super chaotic and people are exiting their offices and like
it's great.
It looks like a tragedy scene. Yeah, like a giant tragedy's happening. There's papers everywhere to show dismay.
It was.
Yeah, it was. Everyone's holding boxes. Like everyone's unemployed. And nothing is the same after this moment.
Yeah,
I think that he didn't have like a big moment for that here. where there was like
because I mean the big moment for that here, it happens like
in the
before
dead middle of the movie.
Because it's 9/11.
Yeah, it's 9/11. I think that's the one thing. I don't think he should have showed 9/11 in the beginning. I think he should have stuck 9/11 right at that mid to act 2 where it was shown that second time.
Even earlier. Just get right.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna keep the movie how it was,
I almost would skip the whole like just run through his background way quicker than this did.
I don't think we needed his background because like
into the Bush administration.
That's the thing. I don't think we needed his background.
Don't.
We could have started with that conversation with him and Bush at that barbecue.
Yeah, probably.
Well, him and Bush eating, and he's like, "I could do this," or we could even started like the phone ringing. He picks up the phone.
Maybe, yeah. Like I'm not sure. This movie just wants to do so many things at once.
Yeah, because during the Bush administration is really where the changes were made in the world.
Yeah.
Like the huge implications. All the other administrations, not really. Because they kind of were doing their own things. Dick Cheney didn't like pull the strings in as much as he did in the Bush administration.
Exactly. Like, it's just I don't know. This movie like just has so many ideas.
If this movie focused on the Bush administration, it'd be a way stronger movie because we could have went more into it.
Like so much of it does anyway. So like, that's where I'm like, this is kind of good.
But we could have went a little bit more into the Bush administration. I think it would have been easier to like introduce some of these characters rather than throw a backstory with them from super long ago.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, like. Because, like, we could have even kept some of the really good scenes from the past and cut them in here. Where, like, if we would have showed Donald Rumsfeld walking in during the Bush administration, like, this is Donald Rumsfeld. And then we would have cut to, like, a young Dick Cheney while he's doing that one really funny speech.
Yeah.
And he goes, and then it could have ended with, like, oh, what's he? He goes, he's a Republican. He goes, that's what I am. And then we could have cut back to that. And then it would have been like, he talks to George Bush Sr. The first time we saw George Bush, we could have had him drunk at that party while they're talking to W. And then cut back. Or he's talking to HW, and then we cut back. You know, like...
Maybe, yeah.
We could have done, like, it could have been, like, more of a smash cut movie. And again, it would have felt 100% Adam McKay. But, like, we wouldn't have had to sit through all of that. And it could have also been, like, why... It could have been a situation where they're like, I bet you're wondering why Dick Cheney never ran for president himself. And then we can get a cut back to the daughter crying and that whole talk with, I like girls, and him hugging her or whatever. And then it could have cut... Like, we still could have had, like, the moments in the movie that, like, work very well. Mm-hmm. But we still could have kept this movie to the administration. And it wouldn't have felt as long. Two, I think it would have been a lot more engaging because at the end of the day, people were watching this for the Bush administration, Cheney, not for any other Dick Cheney.
Right.
I don't give a fuck about Dick Cheney. I wish... The one thing that I really do care about is because when Dick Cheney shot that guy was really when I paid attention to Dick Cheney.
The thing about that, though, is that, like... as far as we know, that really had nothing to do with like anything he actually like.
I know, but man,
I actually kind of appreciated how the way the movie glossed over it.
And I would have
right. This happened, but this does not have to do with what we're saying. We can't not acknowledge that this didn't happen. But no, this does not have to do much with like.
Well, Cheney's... I think that the thing about this movie is that this is proven like just the kind of person that Dick Cheney was.
Oh yeah, totally.
It was like he shot a guy. He didn't apologize, but someone else did, and it was the guy who got shot apologizing on.
Yeah. Oh my god, I remember when that happened. It was like, family. Oh my god, fucking insane.
Which is also like it's indicative of just like the person he was, where Dick Cheney was like a man who wanted power. Like,
yeah.
To be honest with you, I think like Frank Underwood in House of Cards is shaped after Dick Cheney.
It feels like it.
When you see this movie, like if you think about who Frank Underwood in House of Cards is and the things that he does and how calculated he is with things, it's 100% seemed to be shaped after Dick Cheney.
Well, House of Cards is also
except that
it's an adaptation of that British series.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of pieces of it. Where, like,
as far as like the way he manipulates American politics, like Dick Cheney definitely feels like he's part of.
Dick Cheney's a supervillain in this movie.
Yes,
and like
he is, and so is Frank Underwood.
And like he's like...
And in real life, with that fucking crazy video.
Oh, fuck, that should have been my news item.
It was one of mine if you didn't have another one.
Damn it, that should have been my news item because I really talk about that a lot. Whatever. Because remember I made that Kevin Spacey's wet dream joke the other week, so I could have just...
He's gross.
Went full circle with that.
All right. Any final thoughts on Vice?
Okay, here's the thing. I think this is a movie people should see. I think that...
Who, though?
Fucking everyone.
I mean...
Just don't be late to the movie.
How about undecided voters? Can we send them to this?
Oh yeah, 100% send undecided voters there.
I mean, undecided voters are like some of the dumbest people on the planet, but
Very true. Well, I can't say that because, like, I mean, some people are just undecided because of like things that have happened to them in their life through the political system.
All right, whatever. But
so I can't call them dumb. I mean, people have reasons for the reason why they do things in life, you know.
guess,
so I can't like.
There's also the
broad
empathy
brushstroke
for other people, but I send undecided voters to this, I guess, because like here's what's gonna happen. Liberals know like what this movie like. They already buy into. They read the BuzzFeed articles. They buy into what this movie's
news?
selling. It can be. And like diehard Republicans are just going to rebuke it as fake news.
Well, no, they can't because these are all facts. I don't think Republicans are going to rebuke
guess what?
it.
They're doing that anyway
like,
with everything that Trump says. Like,
I think that like Republicans are going to see this and go, "Man, that was cool."
That like he did all this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, maybe some of the diehards. Yeah.
Yeah, a diehard Republican will see this movie as
the Trump supporter neo-Nazi. You mean? Yeah, they'll probably see it as like a call to arms.
Yeah.
Ugh, God.
But I mean, at the end of the day,
like,
this is a work of art, and art is supposed to be indicative of like responses, and it's supposed to provoke. So that's one thing I do like about this movie is that it gives you that emotional feeling. It provokes. It's the thing about Adam McKay is that Adam McKay is provocative.
Yeah, that's true.
Like he's a provocative filmmaker,
or he has been only for like the last like couple movies, but.
Well, I think Anchorman. Well, I mean, provocative in that like his movies stick with you. Let's be real.
Yeah,
people
Anchorman
still
sticks.
quote Anchorman.
Yeah.
People still quote Step Brothers.
Yeah.
People like.
Yeah, no, that's totally
like,
fair. But
like
I don't
Adam
know if I
McKay
would call,
makes
like,
movies that stick with you. I mean, the last two movies are really the provocative.
They're the provocative ones.
They're the provocative
Yeah.
ones, 100%.
All right. How many huffs?
I'm gonna give this movie 4.
Okay.
I'm giving this movie 4 huffs.
I'm gonna go 2.5.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Jump between the two.
Yeah. Little jump. I don't know.
Well, because there's also the
I
facet
wanted
of
more
like.
from it. I also wanted less from it.
Well, for me, also a lot of what a lot of the things I vote for is also like the filmmaking.
Yeah,
itself.
It was fine. The editing was a mess. I think that's
editing,
just part of his
the editing was a
style.
mess, but like the editing, I mean, the editor and Adam McKay are two very different people. Like when it came down to like,
That's
sometimes
still part of the filmmaking, though.
that's true. There were some cinematography, like these cinematic moments that I thought were great. I thought some shots were really cool. Anything that took place, the conversation between them in the house, like had like kind of like a different color story than the rest of the film. Like the movie's color story in itself is a lot of grays and cold.
Yeah.
But a lot of anything happening in the house had a very warm color story to it, which I really did enjoy.
That's
like
interesting.
that's the thing. Like I look into things like that in films and
Yeah.
like attention to detail. And the one thing I do like about Adam McKay is that he does pay attention to detail when it comes to filmmaking and
fair.
like his aesthetic. So like that's kind of the reason why I like him so much is only because like when you watch his movies over and over and you start to really like look into things, you're like, whoa, he really was thoughtful about the way that he like placed things here and like did things like that, you know? Like
That's fair.
I did like that's why I kind of liked it. Like the whole 9/11, everything that happened on 9/11 was muted.
Yes,
It was a muted
very,
color, like
very,
even with like
yeah.
Amy Adams wearing the like powder blue suit.
Yeah.
In like the middle of like this like all white like establishment watching this TV. Like it's very muted. Like it looked a little dust. Like everything looked dusty where like the dust clouds are kind of following through. And I like that because it was just like, that works. Like that, because honestly, like if it was a vibrant color while that was happening, I would have been like, this is jarring.
Yeah, no.
And horrible.
I don't think any movie that's portrayed 9/11 has done that.
Yeah, and I like that. I like how he did that. Like that's the reason why I'm giving it for it. Because like I mean, the movie might have been a mess in terms of story and things like that, and kind of like the way it jumped back and forth. But like at the end of the day, there was a lot of like hard work put into it, and that's
definitely.
the one thing I enjoy.
I'm not disputing that.
I'm not gonna lie, the one thing that I've noticed about all the movies that so far that we've done, there's been work put into it.
Yeah.
And like I can never fault a filmmaker for doing it because at the end of the day, hell, I know what it's like. I do this.
Yeah.
And like if you're really putting work into it and you're not phoning it in, like that's recognition that deserves to be like
Fair.
talked about.
Okay.
Because like making movies like work, like it's really difficult, and I think that like,
a job.
and I think a movie like this is really hard to do, like hard to make in terms of like your schedule and things like that. And also just like,
I think a movie can still be hard to make though, and like not be great.
Oh no, I know 100%. I'm not saying that like this is great because it took work to make, but I'm just saying like I'm recognizing like the work that he's put in. Because like no matter if your movie's shit or not, if you showed up to set and like you can tell Adam McKay like isn't phoning it in, like he really cares about this. And he's really trying.
He's all over.
And you can tell that like he really got all the actors who are on it in and really into it, and like honestly, even if
we should have given them all more to chew on. But.
Yeah, and even if the execution isn't good, you can tell for a fact there was like the hard work there that was behind it, and that's all I'm saying. That's the reason why it's getting 4 from me.
Fair enough. That's fair.
Those are my final words.
4 huffs from Josh, 2.5 from me.
Bam.
Josh, what is your recommendation this week?
Recommendations. We're gonna start doing them. Let's start horribly singing our transitions to different things.
Don't do it.
My recommendation, it's so weird because like I have 2 recommendations this week, so I'm just gonna like close my eyes and do it. Okay, so my recommendation is on Hulu. Because I'm trying to cycle. You
love Hulu.
Well, I'm trying to cycle through all of, because I did Netflix last week. I did Amazon the week before that, so I'm trying to cycle through all the I'm trying to cycle through the big 3.
Yep.
So next week is going to be Amazon again. So on Hulu, A Fish Called Wanda is on it.
I know A Fish Called Wanda.
It's a really weird fucking movie, but it's a really fun comedic like heist movie. Not really a heist movie. It's like a robber movie. It's got Jamie Lee Curtis, it's got Kevin Kline, and they just play like a couple of robbers who are an actual couple, but they pose as brother and sister while trying to get diamonds. And they're 2 Americans in England, and there's a lot of that. I mean, a lot of the movie is you really ride along with Jamie Lee Curtis throughout the whole movie, because like whenever someone does something stupid and she's like, "Oh, you're so stupid," you go, "Oh, this person's so stupid."
Yeah.
Like it's a fun movie. It's a lot of fun actually. Like I watched it again last night and I was just like, "Man, this is good."
No, that's a good recommendation. I like that.
It's fun, it's cute. It's from the 80s?
I'm not sure.
It should have been in the 80s. Because it's very young Jamie. Like, I'm talking like, she still smells like Halloween.
It's 88.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like post-Halloween.
Yeah. She still smells like it.
Ooh.
She still smells like the knife.
The death. Wow.
Oh, not the death. She still lived.
Yeah, I know.
She smells like babysitter blood.
All right, so my recommendation, it follows the great horror film from David Robert Mitchell, can't read, from 2014 is leaving Netflix on January 13th.
It's leaving.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
So try to if you have not seen this horror movie, it has like a little bit of comedy to it. It's about teens passing essentially like a STD ghost onto each other. Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen it. I saw it when it first came out in theaters.
So like basically like they get like a little like deity attached to their seed, I guess, and they pass it along to each other, and it's pretty horrifying. But it's also like kind of funny, and it's really really well made. So if you haven't seen It Follows and you're like a horror junkie, get on.
It was a really good one. It was like it's one of those really supernatural ones that like it changed the game.
Yeah,
it's kind of the first to do that concept
as far as like sex.
Yeah.
I mean, well, because the Virgin has long been a thing in horror.
Yeah,
and I really liked the way this movie manipulated it into a different kind of horror, and it's just a really fun, creepy movie. It's
Used Condoms the movie.
Used Condoms the movie. It's kind of true. All right. Well, Josh, where can we find you?
Ooh, you can find me on the corner. No, I'm kidding. On the corner of Sepulveda and... No, I'm kidding. I'm not in LA yet. So you can... First of all, you can find us on Instagram on @PoppersAndPopcorn, all one word.
Woohoo!
It's a fun little doozy. And then you can find me on Twitter @JRanosaurus, JAYRANOSAURUS. And then you can find me on Instagram as @it's Josh. If you like memes or my face, follow me. If you don't,
those are your 2 favorite
fuck
things
you.
on your Instagram.
Yeah, I just did my best 9 on Instagram. It's all my face, and I'm like,
wow.
I was like, ooh,
that's nice.
This is literally all like, it's just like 9 pictures of my face, and like 7 of them
People
are
love your face.
7 of them are in my living room, and I'm like, wow, these were probably all taken on the same day and just posted at different times.
Good thing you have a podcast where you don't show your face.
You're right. Until we start doing live feeds.
Oh my god, imagine.
Yeah, once we start doing live feeds.
Where it's just like me, like borderline naked.
Oh god. Yeah, but you wear a blanket, so you're good.
I wear a blanket just because it's cold in the summer.
Yeah.
My Twitter is Dr_Dougherty DR_DOUGHERTY, and my Instagram is COtter318.
Is 318 like your zip code?
It's my birthday, March 18th.
Oh.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Also, if you want to send us any mail, poppersandpopcorn@gmail.com, and spelled out, because I think you have to. I don't know.
I mean, or you could just write to us on Instagram.
Or whatever you want to do. We have all the avenues available. And by all I mean two. but they're two of the better ones.
Until we open up a P.O. box.
Next week, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do our top 10 of the year. We're going to wrap up 2018. We'll probably do a different gayest thing, a different news item, and yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we will see you next Wednesday, because it's still... Or no, wait,
because this
Tuesday.
posted on... It's going to see you next Tuesday, because this posted on a Tuesday.
I'm all mixed up.
Well, either way, this last episode posted on Monday night.
I uploaded it on Monday because I wasn't sure how iTunes would do.
Yeah, so we're good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Bye. Don't die.
Bye.